Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Data Playbook. Here we're going through the Week 10 Sunday games, so let's get into the next preview. On to Cleveland Browns, going to the New York Jets, where you have the Browns favored on the money line with a spread of 1.5 and a total line of 37.5. We'll flip over the averages here while you go through the rankings. It's interesting to note here with Cleveland that they're pretty bad offensively, with a scoring rank of 29, passing of 30, rushing of 28, but their tight end ranking is really good at 2. So they're the second best team in the league at utilizing their tight ends, even though the rest of their offense is pretty bad. Defensively, they have some better numbers, with an allowed rushing rank of 9, an allowed passing rank of 7, an allowed scoring rank of 17, and an allowed tight end rank of 10. With the Jets, you have their best ranking at the rushing rank of 3. Defensively, they're pretty good at stopping the pass, but not so good at stopping the rush. And they're not very good at stopping their opponents from scoring altogether. They're worst in the league at passing, and not very good at scoring for themselves as well. Your quarterbacks in this game are Dylan Gabriel and Justin Fields, with Gabriel getting 7.8 fantasy points per game, and Justin Fields averaging 16.6. Gabriel has 2 passing interceptions this season, with no other turnovers, while Justin Fields has no interceptions, but 1 fumble lost due to a sack and 1 fumble lost due to rushing. We'll look at their averages and their week-by-week breakdowns if you need that, as well as their carry share. Down here, you don't even have Dylan Gabriel on the board, so he doesn't rush very much at all. And over here with Justin Fields, you have him at 24.2% of the team's total carry share. So he does take a much larger share, something that you see more from a more pro rushing quarterback. And unfortunately, getting into the running backs, you have only Breeze Hall here. I cannot bring up Quinshon Judkins for some reason, so I apologize for that, and I'll look into that and fix that. But all I can do right now is show Breeze Hall, where Breeze Hall averages 13.9 fantasy points per game and has 1 fumble on the season, with his averages moved over. And looking at his carry share, he gets 53.4% of the team's total carry share. That's shared with his next largest one, which is Justin Fields here at 24.2, which we saw before. For your number 1 receivers, you have Jerry Jeudy and Garrett Wilson. Jerry Jeudy averages almost 6 fantasy points per game this season, while Garrett Wilson has averaged 16.6, with no turnovers given up by either of them. We'll look at the averages, and then their share, with Jerry Jeudy getting 16.9% of the team's total receiving share, and Garrett Wilson getting 26.8% of the team's total receiving share. For Garrett Wilson, that is the largest of anybody else on the team, but Jerry Jeudy cannot say the same thing. And that looks like it's mostly due to Harold Fanning, with 23.2% of the team's total receiving yards. For your number 2 wide receivers, you have Cedric Tillman and Adonai Mitchell. Cedric Tillman gets an average of 8.4 fantasy points per game this season, while Mitchell has averaged 7.8. Part of that is Cedric being out here, so he's just coming back. This will be the first game he's returning back to. And then with their averages and their breakdowns, of course, Cedric Tillman being out so much has a pretty small receiving share on the season with only about 7%. So I imagine that should grow as he gets back incorporated into the game. And then over here with Mitchell, he doesn't have much to speak of completely. I don't see anyone that's his over here, so unfortunately Mitchell hasn't even gotten enough to actually make this chart. That's how much spread out they've been and how many people they've been rotating around with their receiving core. And then, as always, with our tight ends, we have David Njoku and Mason Taylor, with David Njoku getting an average of 9.3 fantasy points per game this season, and Mason Taylor averaging 7.7. With no turnovers, we'll look at their averages, and then their breakdown, with David Njoku getting 17.1% of the team's total receiving share, which is pretty large. I think that's about the second largest share, and Mason Taylor getting about 16.4% of the team's total receiving share, which is a pretty large share comparing to all the other receivers on the Jets. So as we saw Njoku pretty heavily favored, as that's why Cleveland has a tight end rank of 2. But the Jets are pretty good at stopping tight ends. And then otherwise, the Jets have a pretty good rushing game. Cleveland's pretty good at stopping the rush. The worst from the Jets are the pass, and with Cleveland being pretty good from stopping the pass, I wouldn't expect too much there. And vice versa for Cleveland and the Jets, for offense on Cleveland and defense on the Jets. So I think this might come down to really who has the stronger defense. Right now, the numbers would look like it's Cleveland, but you never know with Jets with their rushing game. So if they heavily lean on that, maybe they have their chance to win this game. But if it was Cleveland, they should utilize their tight ends and try to push on that rushing game a little bit that the Jets aren't as well as defending. But we'll have to see how this game turns out. So that's all I have for this game today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and subscribe, and leave a comment on what else you might want to see in the future. Other than that, thank you so much for watching.